each of us in this bus has come for different reasons, and some of us for many reasons. And for some, it might be a spiritual journey. Others, you just want to know more about the Sisters of St. Joseph, and that's actually our common cause.
Every year, Mount St. Mary's travels to France for our 9-day pilgrimage to explore the roots of our founders, the Sisters of St. Joseph. The history of the Sisters of St. Joseph spans several centuries. So we have created the pilgrimage to look at different parts of our French history. So we spend our first 2 days in Annecy, on Lake Annecy. It's at the foot of the Alps, and it's just gorgeous.
It's a really beautiful city, first of all. It was so uniquely French.
I came back becoming a Francophile. I loved being in the small villages.
You start at the very beginning and you learn about the foundations of women religious and understand where this came from.
We visit St. Francis de Sales Church, which is right in the heart of Annecy. Francis de Sales was the bishop in the late 1500s. St. Francis de Sales had kind of a collaborator, a spiritual partner in Jane de Chantal. And St. Francis de Sales is really credited with setting the tone in that time in church history that allows for the Sisters of St. Joseph to be founded in the next century, in the next generation.
I'm not really an emotional type person, but when I walked into the cathedral and realized that the relics were there, I got very emotional, and that's unusual for me. I just think you can read about things, but then when you actually experience them, it was so real.
So after 2 days in Annecy, we travel to Le Puy, a beautiful medieval city set on volcanic formations. And atop each of these formations is built some kind of chapel, church, or monument.
Le Puy is a medieval city, and you have winding streets on little back alleyways and little sidewalks and fountains here, fountains there, and everything is geared towards going up this hill towards the main cathedral, which is an amazing experience. I had not been on a pilgrimage before, and I had not actually ever been on a group trip before, but it really came to life for me.
One of the highlights for me was hiking up to St. Michael's Chapel in Le Puy.
When you see the photos of the area, it's kind of this iconic shot.
You have to climb these cobblestone streets, and you pass the old city walls. It was very high and very steep and a lot of steps.
It's intense, it's not easy.
It's this mountaintop chapel that is literally built into the stone at the top of the volcanic peak there, and it's ancient.
It's been used, I think, over hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years by many different peoples, and you could just feel the sacredness of the space. You get to look over the entire city of Le Puy, which is beautiful and gives you perspective as well.
It's a beautiful place to see.
You can see geography and history on a map or in a book, and then you can actually live through these towns.
The other thing that really struck me about Le Puy when we were walking through the streets and just seeing the little Madonnas everywhere. The Madonnas in the street were special because they were Black Madonnas. As an African-American woman, I don't see that very often. It was sort of touching in a weird way. And then to go into the large cathedral in Le Puy and see the big centerpiece, the center altar with the Black Madonna on there was quite moving. I thought back to our students, who were mostly women of color in the undergrad population, and I just kept thinking, wow, what a way for them to look back and see an image that is an image of color that's a sacred image, and to be inspired by that.
Now, please, would you be very careful? It's dark.
I was absolutely blown away by it. Just the space it was, with this enormous fireplace. This is where these women in 1650 gathered here to talk about how they would serve the people of Le Puy. That was so moving, and it was a sense that as those sisters gathered, here we were, a group of pilgrims who were coming and trying to think about how will we serve in the charism of the Sisters of St. Joseph as we go forward. It was incredibly moving and humbling.
Sister Simone, what she said, how she made us experience that space was really powerful. She said there's many times in the history of the Sisters of St. Joseph where we thought we were going to disappear, that we would no longer exist. But I look around and I see all of you and I realize we have nothing to worry about. And at that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, it conveyed to me the importance of me carrying on that charism for the sisters moving forward, that I really needed to be able to do this. So that was a really like an important, powerful kind of transformational moment for me.
Just to see and touch where they were and know that I'm part of that calling, that was really beautiful.
Imagining the original 6 sisters being there in that room, did they have any idea how far spread their work would eventually go?
We come to a close in Le Puy around 1650. The next significant part of our history that we explore in the pilgrimage is about 100 years later, 1760, and we look at the life of Mother St. John Fontbonne. So as we leave Le Puy, we visit several sites of the life of Mother St. John through that time, through the French Revolution and beyond.
So there's this great split in the Catholic Church during the French Revolution, those who took the oath and those who did not take the oath. And those who did not take the oath were often arrested, persecuted, and guillotined.
Béni cette chapelle avec Sœur Saint Jean Fontbonne.
So Monsignor of Gallard did bless this chapel with Sir John of Fontbonne.
La Révolution est arrivée là.
Then the revolution came.
Looking at the location where Mother St. John Fontbonne was imprisoned, her looking out those windows and sort of standing there in that moment and understanding what she was willing to sacrifice and what she was prepared to give up her life for her beliefs. Had history gone differently, none of us would have been standing there in the moment. That's why you go on the pilgrimage, to understand you're part of a lineage.
We end up in Lyon, where the sisters were permanently established and began to thrive.
Learning about Mother St. John was pretty powerful. She was an incredible person.
I mean, Mother St. John Fontbonne probably would be the highest on my list of who inspires me the most. She pretty much single-handedly brought the order back together, and the Sisters of St. Joseph wouldn't be here without her.
We were in Lyon and we went to the Heritage House. There are all the original documents, which is interesting. There's the bedroom of Mother St. John Fontbonne and her glasses in her desk. It's also an amazing statue.
And so this whole time I'm imagining this big woman, right? Strong leader woman. And then you see this little statue of her and she was barely 5 feet tall.
What you notice about the statue is it's kind of forward-facing, so it's on a slight slant moving forward. And I thought, that's interesting. I wonder what that means. And then there was a description that said the sculptor purposely tried to capture her forward momentum, that she was an unstoppable force.
We talk so much about being unstoppable, and really I think when you learn about the women that not only built the order but then advanced the order of the Sisters of St. Joseph, I think you really understand what we mean when we say unstoppable here.
I think I'm most inspired overall of the power of women. That model of faith, perseverance, dedication, and love is one to really aspire to.
One of the reasons we're doing these pilgrimages is to give faculty and staff, trustees, alums, the opportunity to experience this firsthand.
It's life-changing. The trip is life-changing. It really is. You learn so much, not just history, but you learn so much about Mount St. Mary's and our founders and yourself, too, along the way.
You meet at the airport, you're all strangers. You don't know who they are. And then when it was over, it's like, I miss them so much already.
Like, it's just, I don't know how else to say it, it's just a really fun, amazing experience.